The Hazbin Hotel Season 3 trailer leaked, and not just some blurry, shaky, barely visible clip that could be anything. We're talking actual promotional footage, real trailer material. The kind of content that was never supposed to leave the room it was shown in. And now that it's out there, the internet is completely and utterly losing its mind. Fans are screaming. Let's start from the beginning, because before we get into what the footage actually shows, we need to talk about where it came from and why this isn't just some fan-made concept trailer or a cleverly edited fake design to bait clicks. This is the real thing, and the evidence for that is honestly overwhelming when you look at it all together. The footage that surfaced didn't come from some random account with no history or credibility. From everything that's been pieced together by people who've been tracking this story since the moment it dropped, the leaked material originated from an internal presentation. The kind of presentation you put together when you're showing early promotional content to investors, network executives, or key stakeholders who need to be updated on where the production stands. Someone in that room, someone with direct access to material that was never meant for the public, made the decision to share it. And once it hit the internet, once it landed in the hands of fans who had been starving for any kind of information about Season 3, it was over. There was no putting that back in the bottle. The footage spread faster than anyone could have anticipated, jumping from platform to platform, getting screenshotted and downloaded and uploaded before the first takedown notice even had a chance to do anything. And that's actually one of the biggest reasons we know this is legitimate, because Amazon and A24 did not play around when it came to responding. They came in hard and fast with copyright strikes. They flagged accounts. They pushed takedowns aggressively across every major platform. And here's the thing about that response that tells you everything you need to know. Companies don't go to war over fake content. They don't dedicate resources to aggressively scrubbing something from the internet unless that something is genuinely theirs and genuinely not supposed to be out there yet. If this footage was fan-made, if it was a hoax or a creative edit put together by a talented fan with too much time and access to animation software, Amazon and A24 would have ignored it entirely or maybe issued a single polite clarification. Instead, they went full damage control mode. That tells you the footage is real. That tells you what people saw was actual Season 3 material. And that's what makes this so incredibly exciting. Because the clips, even though they were short, even though they were being pulled down almost as fast as they went up, were packed with information. People who saw the footage before it disappeared described it in detail. Screenshots survived, frame-by-frame breakdowns started appearing. And when you pull all of that together, when you piece every surviving fragment of information into a complete picture, what you get is a preview of a season that is going to hit harder, go deeper, and be more emotionally devastating than anything Hazbin Hotel has done before. The leaked footage totals maybe around 30 seconds of actual content when you add everything up. 30 seconds doesn't sound like much, but in the hands of a show like Hazbin Hotel, 30 seconds is enough to change everything. The animation quality alone is enough to make your jaw drop. Season 2 already felt like a massive step up from the pilot era of the show, and Season 3 is taking that even further. The colors are richer and more deliberate. The way light and shadow are being used feels more cinematic than ever. The action sequences visible in the leaked clips look smoother and more dynamic, like the animators have fully settled into their stride and are now pushing the boundaries of what the show can visually accomplish. It's clear that the budget got a serious boost, and every single frame of that budget is showing up on screen in exactly the right ways. But visual quality, as impressive as it is, isn't what's driving people absolutely insane right now. What's driving people insane is what the footage actually shows. What the characters are doing, where they are, what expressions they're wearing, and what all of it implies about where Season 3 is going to take these people. We've spent 2 seasons completely falling in love with, and when you start breaking it down character by character, moment by moment, the picture that emerges is one of a season that is not pulling any punches. Not for Angel, not for Charlie, not for Alok, not for anyone. This is going to be the season where every single unresolved thread gets yanked on hard, where every emotional wound that's been carefully bandaged up over 2 seasons gets torn open again, and where the characters we love are going to be pushed to places we're not sure they can come back from. The show has always balanced its humor and its heart with remarkable skill. And everything about this leaked footage suggests that Season 3 is going to lean harder into that heart than ever before. The chaos is coming. The battles are coming. The emotional devastation is absolutely coming. And based on everything we've seen so far, we wouldn't have it any other way. If there is one character whose Season 3 arc has fans the most terrified and the most desperate at the same time, it's Angel Dust. And the leaked footage made it immediately undeniably clear that his story is going to be front and center this season in ways that are going to leave a mark on every single person watching. The clip showing Angel is brief, but it's devastating in the way that only Hazbin Hotel knows how to be. He's in a location that feels completely different from anything we've seen before. Dark, industrial, cold. The kind of place that feels like it has weight to it, like the walls themselves are pressing in. And he's not alone. There are figures in the shadows around him and the framing of the scene. The way the shot is composed makes it absolutely clear that Angel is not in a good situation. He's in danger, real danger. Not the kind of surface-level chaos that the show sometimes uses for action and spectacle, but the deeper, more personal kind of danger that comes from your past finally catching up with you and refusing to let go. This lines up with everything that Vivian Medrano has hinted at when talking about Season 3. She's been clear that Angel's arc this season is going to go deeper into his history than the show has ever gone before. We're going to understand him in a way we haven't been able to yet. And that means we're going to see the parts of his story that he's spent every episode desperately trying to keep buried. The relationship between Angel and Valentino has always been one of the most disturbing and emotionally complex dynamics in the entire show. Season 2 gave us glimpses of just how toxic and controlling and abusive that situation truly is. And it did not hold back in making the audience feel the full weight of what Angel has been living with. But Season 3, based on the leaked footage and everything surrounding it, is going to go even further. We're likely looking at flashbacks. Real ones. The kind that show us not just moments of Angel's life under Valentino's control, but the full arc of how he got there. How Angel Dust ended up in hell. What his life looked like before. And how piece by piece he got pulled into a situation that stripped away his agency and replaced it with survival mode. And if Hazbin Hotel does what it always does with backstory, which is take something you thought you understood and reveal a layer of tragedy underneath it, that completely recontextualizes everything, then Angel's flashbacks are going to break people wide open. Because Angel isn't just a victim of Valentino's cruelty, he's a person who made choices, who had a whole life before hell, who had relationships and a sense of self that slowly got eroded by manipulation and abuse and the desperate need to survive. Seeing that laid out in full is going to be one of the most emotionally intense things this show has ever done. But here's what makes it even more powerful. And here's what the leaked footage hints at that has fans feeling a complicated mix of heartbreak and hope at the same time. Angel isn't going to be facing this alone. Even though he walked away from the hotel at the end of Season 2, even though he pushed people away and made it clear he needed space, his friends are not giving up on him. The found family theme that runs through everything Hazbin Hotel does is going to be in full force this season. And that means Charlie and Husk and the others are going to fight for Angel even when he's actively resisting being fought for. And that dynamic, the tension between someone who genuinely doesn't believe they deserve to be saved and the people around them who refuse to accept that, is going to be the emotional engine driving so much of this season. Angel doesn't think he's worth the effort. He's spent so long being treated like he isn't that he's started to believe it. And watching the people who love him refuse to accept that narrative, watching them push back against his self-destruction with everything they have, is going to hit in ways that are genuinely hard to prepare for. There's also the very real possibility of a direct confrontation between Angel and Valentino this season. The leaked footage showing Angel in danger, surrounded by shadowy figures in an industrial setting, points strongly in that direction. A face-to-face showdown between them wouldn't just be one of the most intense action sequences the show has ever attempted. It would be the culmination of a storyline that has been building since the very beginning. Because breaking free from Valentino isn't something Angel can do by simply walking away. The control runs too deep. The psychological damage is too real. True freedom for Angel means confronting everything that relationship did to him, naming it out loud, and choosing himself in a moment where every instinct he has is probably screaming at him to stay small and stay safe. That confrontation, whenever it comes, is going to be one of the most important moments in the entire series. Out of all the moments in the leaked footage, the one that has people spiraling the hardest is the brief shot of Charlie and Lilith finally coming face to face. And when I say spiraling, I mean full-on emotional meltdown territory, because this single frame, this one moment captured before the footage got scrubbed, tells an entire story without a single word of dialogue. Charlie looks desperate. There's something in her posture and her expression that reads as pleading, like she's reaching out for something she's been reaching for her entire existence. and still isn't sure she's going to be able to grab, and Lilith, standing across from her, looks cold, distant. Her expression is almost calculating, like she's already done the math on this situation and Charlie isn't coming out of it with what she's hoping for. That contrast, that gap between what Charlie is offering and what Lilith seems willing to give back, is one of the most quietly devastating things the leaked footage contains. And it completely reframes the ending of season 2 in a way that makes the relief of that phone call feel much more complicated. When Lilith called at the end of season 2, there was a moment where it felt like maybe things were going to be okay. Like maybe the distance between Charlie and her mother was finally going to close. But the leaked footage makes it clear that whatever reunion is coming, it is not going to be the warm and healing moment Charlie has been desperately hoping for her whole life. Lilith has an agenda. That much is clear from the way she's being framed in the footage. She didn't reach out to Charlie out of pure maternal love or a sudden desire to repair their relationship. There's something else going on, something calculated and deliberate, and Charlie, with all her hope and all her love and all her desperate need for her mother's approval, is walking right into it. And that's what makes this storyline so emotionally brutal. Because Charlie is one of the most genuinely good-hearted characters in the entire show. She believes in people. She believes in redemption. She believes that love is enough to reach anyone if you just try hard enough. And she has applied every single one of those beliefs to her relationship with her mother. She has held on to the idea of Lilith, the version of her mother that she's built up in her head over years of absence and silence, with a grip that has never loosened, no matter how many times reality has pushed back against it. Season 3 is going to test that grip in the most painful way possible. Because if Lilith turns out to be not just distant, but actively working against what Charlie is trying to build, if she turns out to be an obstacle rather than an ally, it's not just going to hurt Charlie as a character. It's going to force her to completely reconstruct her understanding of family, love, and where her real support system actually lives. And here's where it gets really interesting from a storytelling perspective, because the found family theme that sits at the absolute core of Hazbin Hotel is going to be the thing that saves Charlie when her biological family fails her. The people at the hotel, Vaggie, Angel, Husk, Nifty, Lasta, in whatever complicated way he fits into that picture, those are the people who have actually shown up for Charlie. Those are the ones who have fought for her vision when everyone else laughed at it, who have stayed by her side through every setback and every moment of doubt, who have become her real family in every way that actually matters. When Lilith disappoints her, and everything about the leaked footage suggests that disappointment is coming, Charlie is going to have to look around and realize that the family she's been searching for has been standing right next to her the whole time. That realization, as painful as the path to it will be, is going to be one of the most emotionally powerful moments the show has ever given us. The leaked footage also shows Charlie in what looks like a genuinely vulnerable moment. More vulnerable than we're used to seeing from her. Charlie is the eternal optimist. She's the one who gets knocked down over and over again and bounces back with a smile. Who keeps pushing forward even when the evidence suggests she probably shouldn't. But season 3 looks like it's going to push her to a place where bouncing back isn't immediately possible, where the weight of everything lands on her all at once, and she doesn't have the energy to immediately reframe it into hope. And that's actually exactly what her character arc needs. We've seen her be strong and relentless and full of light. We haven't really seen her break. Season 3 looks like the season where she finally does, and the journey from that breaking point back to herself, rebuilt and more grounded and more real than before, is going to make her one of the most complete character arcs in the entire show. Nobody in the entire Hazbin Hotel fandom has been theorized about more obsessively than Alexa, and nobody in the leaked footage is generating more conversation right now than him. Because the brief glimpse of Al that made it into the circulating clips does not show what people expected to see. And that gap between expectation and reality is exactly what's sending fans into a complete spiral of reassessment and renewed theorizing. For a long time, the dominant theory around Alasta in Season 3 has been a betrayal arc. The logic behind it was always pretty solid. Al is not a good person. He's made that abundantly clear from the very beginning. He's dangerous, he's manipulative, he operates on his own agenda. And his reasons for helping Charlie and the hotel have never been fully explained. He's always felt like someone who is playing a longer game, waiting for the right moment to reveal that everything he's done has been in service of something that serves him and nobody else. The betrayal theory made sense. It fit his character. It fit the way the show has always kept him slightly apart from the found family dynamic. Never quite fully in, never fully trusted, existing in this space between ally and threat that has kept fans on edge since his very first appearance. But the leaked footage is challenging all of that. And not in a small, easily dismissed way. In a way that genuinely reframes who Alasta might be at this point in the story and where his arc might actually be going. The clip of Al in the leaked footage shows him unleashing his power. That part isn't surprising. What's surprising is the energy around it. The way it's framed, the context visible in the brief seconds we get, doesn't feel like a villain making a move. It feels like someone fighting from a place of genuine desperation. There's something almost tragic in the way he moves, in the way the scene is composed around him, that reads less as a man executing a plan and more as a man who has been pushed to his absolute limit and is now doing whatever it takes to protect something. That word, protect, is the one that's completely changing the conversation around Alasta right now. Because if Al is protecting something in that moment, if his power is being used in service of defense rather than offense, it doesn't fit the betrayal narrative at all. It fits something much more complicated and much more interesting. It fits the idea of a character who has spent the entire series maintaining careful distance from emotional investment, from genuine connection, from anything that would make him vulnerable, finally arriving at a moment where that distance has collapsed, where something or someone has gotten past every wall he has ever built, and now he's fighting not because it serves his agenda, but because he actually cares about the outcome. That is a fundamentally different Alasta than the one the betrayal theory was built around. And it's a version of his character that raises entirely new questions. What broke through his walls? What does he actually care about protecting? Is it Charlie? Is it the hotel itself? Is it something connected to whatever deal or contract has been hanging over him since season 1? Because let's not forget that Alasta is not entirely free either. There have been hints since the beginning that he is bound by something, that his power and his presence in hell come with strings attached to someone or something above him in the hierarchy. And if season 3 is the season where that constraint becomes visible, where we finally understand what Alasta owes and to whom, then everything about his behavior across the entire series is going to snap into focus in a completely new way. The leaked footage doesn't give us enough to answer all of these questions, but it gives us enough to know that the answers are coming, and that they are going to be far more emotionally complex than a simple villain reveal. Alasta is not going to be the betrayer. He might be the one who sacrifices more than anyone expected. And that, honestly, might be the thing that breaks the fandom the hardest. We've talked about the characters, we've talked about the footage, now let's talk about the two things that have the internet buzzing just as loudly as everything else. The release date and the new character that showed up in the leaked clips without any warning or explanation whatsoever.